Slavoj ŽIŽEK, looking Awry, an introduction to Jacques Lacan through popular culture, some things and such. The psychotic solution, the other of the other. Our mention of Kafka, apropos the disproportion between outside and inside, was by no means accidental. The Kafkaesque court, that obscene culpabilizing agency, has to be located precisely at this surplus of the inside in relation to the outside, as this fantasy space is the non-existent 13th floor in the mysterious committee that interrogates Randall. It's not difficult to recognize a new version of the Kafkaesque course, of the obscene figure of an evil superegoic law. The fact that members of this committee worship the divine bird only confirms that in the imagery of our culture, up to and including Hitchcock's The birds function as the embodiment of a cruel and obscene superegoic agency. Heinlein alludes to Kafkaesque vision of a world ruled by the obscene agency of a mad god. But the price he pays for it is the paranoid construction according to which our universe is the work of art of unknown creators. This wittiest variation on this theme, witty in the literal sense, because it concerns wit itself, jokes, is to be found in Isaac Asimov's short story, Jokester. A scientist doing research on jokes comes to the conclusion that human intelligence began precisely with the capacity to produce jokes. So, after a thorough analysis of thousands of jokes, he succeeds in isolating the primal joke, the original point-enabling passage from the animal to the human kingdom, i.e., the point at which superhuman intelligence, God, intervened in the course of life on Earth by communicating to man the first joke. The common feature of this kind of ingenious paranoid story is the implication of the existence of another of the other, a hidden subject who pulls the strings of the great other, the symbolic order, precisely at the points at which this other starts to speak its autonomy, i.e., where it produces an effect of meaning by means of a senseless contingency. Beyond the conscious intention of the speaking subject, as in jokes or dreams, this other of the other is exactly the other of paranoia, the one who speaks through us without our knowing it, who controls our thoughts, who manipulates us through the apparent spontaneity of jokes, or as in Heinlein's novel, the artist whose fantasy creation is our world. The paranoid construction enables us to escape the fact that the other does not exist. Lacan. That it does not exist as a consistent, closed order, to escape the blind, contingent automatism, the constitutive stupidity of the symbolic order. When faced with such paranoid construction, we must not forget the signal function, Freud's warning, and mistake it for the illness itself. The paranoid construction is, on the contrary, an attempt to heal it, to heal ourselves, to pull ourselves out of the real illness, the end of the world, the breakdown of the symbolical universe, by means of the substitute formation. If we want to witness the process of this breakdown, the breakdown of the barrier, real reality, in its pure form, we have only to follow the path of the paintings produced in the 1960s, the last decade of his life, by Mark Rothko, the most tragic figure of American abstract expressionism. The theme of these paintings is constant. All of them present nothing but a set of color variations of the relationship between the real and reality, rendered as a geometrical abstraction by the famous painting of Kazimir Malevich, the naked, unframed icon of my time. A simple black square on a white background. The reality white background surface, the liberated nothingness, the open space in which objects can appear, obtains its consistency only by means of the black hole in its center, the Lacanian das Ding, the thing that gives body to the substance of enjoyment, i.e., by the exclusion of the real, by the change of the status of the real into that of a central act. All late Rothko paintings are manifestations of the struggle to save the barriers separating the real from reality, that is, to prevent the real, the central black square, from overflowing the entire field, to preserve the distance between the square and what must at any cost whatsoever remain its background. If the square occupies the whole field, if the difference between the figure and its background is lost, the psychotic autism is produced. Rothko pictures the struggle as a tension between a gray background and the central black spot that spreads menacingly from one painting to another. In the late 1960s, the vivacity of red and yellow in Rothko's canvases is increasingly replaced by the minimal opposition between black and gray. If we look at these paintings in a cinematic way, i.e., if we put the reproductions one above the other and then turn them quickly to get the impression of continuous movement, we can almost draw a line to the inevitable end. If Rothko were driven by some unavoidable fatal necessity, in the canvases immediately preceding his death, the minimal tension between black and gray changes for the last time into the burning conflict between voracious red and yellow, witnessing the last desperate attempt at redemption and at the same time confirming unmistakably that the end is imminent. Rothko was one day found dead in his New York loft in a pool of blood with his wrists cut. He preferred death to being swallowed by the thing, i.e., precisely by that gray and formless mist, pulsing slowly as if with inchoate life, that the two heroes of the Heinlein novel perceive through their open window. Far from being a sign of madness, the barrier separating the real from reality is therefore the very condition of a minimum of normalcy. Madness, psychosis, sets in when this barrier is torn down, when the real overflows reality as an autistic breakdown, or when it is itself included in reality, assuming the form of the of the paranoiac's prosecutor, for example.